Hey campers, welcome to the first day of Camp Craftopia's Summer Takeover Challenge! Woo! So exciting to be here. I hope you guys caught the opening day video on Saturday and got to see our special guest appearance. And let's just jump into it. This week, we're doing cryptids. How exciting. I'm super stoked. I love cryptids. It's right up there on my list of favorite things, right next to conspiracy theories and how the ocean is full of aliens. That's not a theory, that's a fact. But we're not talking about that today. Today we're talking about cryptids. And I'm super stoked because the first day is Cryptids of the Water, and I think if you know anything about cryptids, you probably know where I'm going to go with this, because I didn't look for somebody elusive. I went for the most famous water cryptid, I think, of all time. I'm going to say of all time. I'm confident in that assessment. And I wanted to let you guys know that if you want to follow along and do the cryptids that I'm doing, head over to my website, releasethecraftin.com. I have a blog space there, and I have a freebie little printout for you guys. That's a little sneak peek of what we're coming up with. If you check out the blog, you'll see all of them that you guys can use. You can use my images and follow along and make some, or you can do your own. I am so excited to see which cryptids you guys choose to do, especially if you're going off the beaten path, because there are so many to choose from, and this is a really fun topic. So let's get into it. Cryptids of the water. What did we make? This drowned tag. It says, what lies beneath the lock? That's right, guys. It's a little bit of a pull. We find out what actually does lie beneath the lock. So, want to see how we made this? Stay tuned. Okay, campers, ready to learn a little bit about the Loch Ness Monster? The Loch Ness Monster is a creature of Scottish folklore that inhabits Loch Ness in the Scottish Highlands, garnering worldwide interest since being published in the Courier in 1933. The Loch Ness Monster, also known as Nessie, is one of the most elusive and cited cryptids. And when I say cited, boy do I mean cited, you guys. There are so many reports and hoaxes on photographs and faked bodies dumped into the loch, all so that people can say that they've seen the actual Loch Ness Monster. The Loch Ness Monster gained its name in the 1940s, previously being referred to as the monster fish, dragon, or sea serpent of the loch. The earliest sighting of Nessie comes to us from the life of St. Columba, written nearly 100 years after the event. So this was written in 600 AD and takes place in 500 AD. Gosh, words are really hard. St. Columba's story is of a man who was dragged away by a water beast that then tries to eat another of his companions when he orders him to swim across the river. But, and this is probably where the story gets particularly silly, but St. Columba manages to stop this beast from going after the other man by giving it a strongly worded statement and providing it with the sign and the cross. It then retreats immediately, and they write it off as a miracle of the day. Now, this tale took place in the River Ness and not in the actual loch, so it's led to this story being discredited by many, especially those deep in the cryptozoology world. They tend to write these off as two separate incidents, although if you ask me, I think it's close enough. I think it counts. I know that in ancient times, the texts of the day were full of mysterious sea monsters, monster fish. It's actually a really common thing. If you ever just look up monster fish or sea monsters in general, you will find a ton, a metric ton of stories about this. That are all about the same. We saw a giant monster fish. It tried to eat us. Some of us survived. Some of us didn't. It's sort of that story that everybody's cousin has. at the time. You know, like I know somebody who, but nobody was ever actually there. That's those kind of stories. But this one is interesting to me only because of its proximity to the actual loch, as well as just sort of the description of the monster starts to match other future descriptions of the Loch Ness Monster. Following sightings were reported and seemed to increase in the late 1800s and early 1900s, especially when the world suddenly took interest. Now remember, they published a story in 1933 about Nessie in the loch, and this took off. People got like Nessie fever. Everybody was talking about it. People were going out there to see it, and that's when like just this like sequential one after the other sighting hoaxes, like this just took off. And with the uptick in these sightings, like the amount of hoaxes, you guys, I can't even people really wanted to be known as the one who found the Loch Ness Monster or had evidence of the Loch Ness Monster. One of the most famous photographs of the Loch Ness Monster later turned out to be sort of like falsified. It's sort of widely accepted that it's not a real thing because of some photographic stuff with the negatives. I'm not a photo expert. I don't know how photo development works, but apparently a white mark on the photo is something that is put onto the negative and sort of indicated that whatever was being pictured in the very blurry, very grainy photograph was being pulled through the water so that it would make the ripples and look like it was actually moving, which to me is like next level for early 1930s, 1940s, like hoaxery. I know it's not a word, but we're doing it. But there were people who have gone so far as to throw in like blurry photos of their dog getting a stick out of the water, who have found like the carcass of an elephant seal, which like, okay, and then mutilated the body and then tossed it into the loch so that they could say that they found it. People have even planted fossils into the loch to say that they discovered the Loch Ness Monster. All of these have been proven false. But the interesting thing with all of these is that they have different descriptions for what these people think the Lake Loch Monster looks like. The Lake Loch Monster. That's so hard to say, you guys. So the many descriptions of the monster of the loch, most popularly is of a long-necked amphibious creature with one or more humps that appears above the water. There's not a lot of full body pictures of Nessie. But there's other descriptions that also include a whale of enormous size, a large stubby-legged animal, a monstrous fish, a dragon, and a sea serpent with a long rolling body. My favorite depiction is that of a cross between a seal and a plesiosaur. Many sightings include Nessie crossing the road to return to the loch for reasons, and there's been many scientific and not so scientific researches that have been done on the loch itself, starting back in 1934 up until recently in 2018, where they did a DNA study of the loch, finding out that there was no DNA present of a large fish, sharks, otters, or seals, but they did find a lot of eel DNA, and the leader of the study couldn't rule out the possibility of eels of an enormous size. So there's many explanations for what could be dwelling in the loch, everything from the psychological to optical illusions to misidentified inanimate objects, fantastical sea creatures, and trapped dinosaurs that are locked into the loch as time has passed by. There's so many things that it could possibly be, but what do you guys think? Do you think the Loch Ness Monster was real? Or just one of the longest running hoaxes of our time? So we're back. What do you guys think? So this was an exercise in frustration because I didn't choose the right materials. But I still am happy with how this came out. Although I will say, if you make this yourself, use a sturdier piece of paper. I used a very thin cardstock. That made it frustrating. Also, even though I've done it with ribbon before, I could not make it work with ribbon this time. So skip that. Went with old, sturdy, old, reliable plastic, and it got the job done. There's our little Nessie. Super cute. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making this, even if it was one of the most frustrating things I've ever made in my life. But I left the process in so that you guys could see what I go through. Because you guys tell me you want to see both sides of it. So sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. Sometimes we win anyways, even after losing quite a few times. And I think if there's like a lesson here, that's it. But this was a fun start. I know that every day afterwards is going to be better. It can't get any worse than this experience. But I hope that you guys have better luck when you make this. Again, I cannot stress the importance of using thicker, sturdier cardstock. I knew that, chose not to do it, and the struggle was real. But campers, I hope you make along with me. Don't forget to use the hashtag CraftSCT22 so that we can see what you make. And don't forget to mark this off on your passport. In case you did not know, I believe I have it somewhere. Hold on, technical difficulty. Weird transition, but I found it. There is a creativity passport also available on my website for you guys to download. You get your little camp badge. Yours will say camper because y'all are the campers. And get a little logo to save for your journal, as well as your creativity passport. Fill this out, check off every day. If you finish every day, you are entered into the giveaway at the end of our summer camp takeover challenge. If you do not have the ability to print, you are welcome to make your own creativity passport. I just have these available for those of you guys who would like to have some official materials. Also on the website, there is an activity calendar so you can follow along and keep track of the important dates and where to go, as well as a month-long breakdown, or 5-week breakdown, let's be more apt, with the dates as well, that you can pop into your journals, keep like that, do what you want with it, get a little head start if you need to, so that you can finish filling out your creativity passport. I hope that you guys are excited as I am for a wonderful week of fun creating, as well as another 4 weeks of awesome creations from some really great counselors. And I think that's going to be it for me this time, you guys. Until next time, happy camping. See y'all tomorrow. Bye.